Hello, I'm Professor Kerry Irish. Welcome to a series of selected readings in C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. Today we are looking at part 2 of What Lies Behind the Law. In part 1, Lewis explained that there are two basic views of the origin of the universe: the materialist view and the religious view. The former relies upon chance or accident and presupposes the existence of space and matter. The second relies upon a great mind or intelligence that has created the universe. Today, Lewis examines the evidence for these two theories. Lewis wrote, "Please do not think that one of these views was held a long time ago and that the other has gradually taken its place. Wherever there have been thinking men, both views have turned up. And note this too. You cannot find out which view is the right one, the true one, by science in the ordinary sense. Science works by experiments. It watches, it observes how things behave. Every scientific statement in the long run, however complicated it looks, really means something like such and such a part of the sky at 2:20 a.m. on January 15th, and so and so and so and so. I pointed the telescope to, or I put some of this stuff in a pot and heated it to such and such a temperature, and it did so and so. In other words, observation of natural events. Do not think I'm saying anything against science. I'm only saying what its job is. And the more scientific a man is, the more, I believe, he would agree with me that this is the job of science, and a very useful and necessary job it is. But why anything comes to be there, to exist at all, and whether there is anything behind the things that science observes, something of a different kind, this is not a scientific question. If there is something behind, then it will either have to remain altogether unknown to men, precisely because it is something different, something unobservable, or it will have to make itself known to men in some different way. The statement that there is any such thing and the statement that there is no such thing are not statements that science can make. And real scientists do not usually make them. It is usually journalists and novelists who have picked up a few odds and ends of half-baked science from textbooks or from other journalists and novelists who go in for them. After all, it is really a matter of common sense. Supposing science ever became complete so that it knew every single thing in the whole universe, is it not plain that the questions, why is there a universe? Why does it go on as it does? Has it any meaning? Would still remain unanswered. Now the problem, the question, would remain quite hopeless but for this fact. There is one thing, and only one, in the whole universe which we know more about than we could learn from external observation. That one thing is man, us. We do not merely observe human beings. We are human beings. In this case, we have inside information. And because of that, we know that human beings find themselves under a moral law, which they did not make, and they cannot quite forget, even though they try very hard at times. And they also know they ought to obey this moral law. Notice the following point. Anyone studying man from the outside as we study electricity or cabbages, not knowing our language and consequently not able to get any inside knowledge from us, but merely observing what we did, would never get the slightest evidence that we had this moral law. How could they? For their observation would only show what we did. And the moral law is about what we ought to do. In the same way, if there were anything above and behind the observed facts in the case of stones or the weather, we, by studying them from the outside, could never hope to discover it. In summary, Lewis is in the midst of an argument that the law of human nature exists because it is created by a great mind. He will continue this argument in our next selection from Mere Christianity. And I thank you for your kind attention.